We usually look down into the Earth for answers to our biggest problems. But today, we're going to look up. We're diving into an idea that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, but is getting closer to reality every single day. Mining asteroids to fuel our future, not just on Earth, but out there among the stars. And really, that's the core of it, isn't it? Are we about to unlock a future of incredible abundance, solving our resource problems for good, or are we kicking off the universe's first big land grab with all the conflict and chaos that comes with it? The stakes just could not be higher. And listen, when we say unimaginable wealth, that is not an exaggeration. The value that's just locked up in the asteroids in our own backyard is estimated in the trillions, maybe even quadrillions of dollars. I mean, that's a number so huge it doesn't just shake up the economy, it completely rewrites the definition of what a resource even is. So here's how we're going to tackle this cosmic quest. We'll start with the problem we're facing right here on Earth, then we'll decode the treasures floating over our heads, check out the plan to actually get them, understand what the real prize is, and finally, we'll get into the new rules for this wild new frontier. Okay, first things first. Why on earth would we even think about doing something as crazy as mining in space? Well, the answer unfortunately starts right here at home. So here's the deal. The phone in your hand, the electric cars we all want to drive, the giant wind turbines, all of that tech runs on rare metals and elements. And demand is just exploding. But the supply? Well, the supply here on planet Earth is limited. We are, to put it simply, starting to run out. And that's what's forcing us to look somewhere else. The solution to Earth's resource problem isn't about digging deeper into the ground. It's about reaching higher, to the thousands of asteroids zipping past us that are basically just floating treasure chests of the very stuff our entire civilization is built on. So, what's actually inside these cosmic treasure chests? I mean, they're not just a bunch of random space rocks. They are an incredibly diverse and valuable collection of raw materials. You can think of them as coming in a few different flavors. You've got your C-types, which are packed with water and carbon, literally the building blocks for life. Then there are the S-types. They're stony and full of industrial stuff like nickel and iron. And then you have the M-types. Oh yeah, those are the jackpot. They're almost pure chunks of the most precious metals out there. So, to be super clear, we're talking about platinum, which is incredibly rare here on Earth. We're talking about the rare earth elements that power all of our high-tech gadgets. And maybe the most important thing of all, we are talking about water ice. And trust me, when you're in the vacuum of space, water is worth way more than gold. No question. Okay, so the treasure's out there. We know why we need it. But how in the world do we actually pull off this great off-world heist? Well, this is where some absolutely mind-blowing new engineering comes into play. At its heart, the mission kind of breaks down into 4 big steps. First, you send out robotic scouts to find the best targets. Second comes the really tricky part, actually grabbing the stuff in zero gravity. Third, you refine the raw materials right there in space. And fourth, the most exciting step of all, you start using those materials in space. And let's be clear, this is not just an idea on a whiteboard somewhere. There are real companies right now on the ground building the robots, the engines, and the processing systems to make this happen. The next great space race has already begun. But it would be a huge mistake to think this is going to be easy. I mean, space is one of the most hostile environments imaginable. Trying to operate heavy machinery in zero-G, protecting everything from crazy amounts of radiation, and just building stuff that can survive those insane temperature swings, these are just a few of the massive, massive challenges. And going through all that trouble brings us to the real reason this is so important. Because this isn't actually about bringing platinum back to Earth to make jewelry. No, the ultimate prize is about learning how to stay in space. The key idea here is something called in situ resource utilization, or ISRU for short. And it's a pretty simple concept with totally game-changing consequences. Instead of hauling everything you need from Earth, which is incredibly expensive, you just use the stuff you find when you get there. Just think about it for a second. That water ice we found on the C-type asteroids, you can split that into hydrogen and oxygen. Boom, that's the most powerful rocket fuel we know. All of a sudden, you've got gas stations scattered across the solar system. You can use that water for astronauts to drink. You can use the metals to 3D print tools, build space stations, and even construct the ships that will take us to Mars and beyond.
This is the vision. It's not just about visiting space anymore, it's about building a permanent, self-sustaining home there. It's the difference between being a tourist in the solar system and becoming a resident. This is the blueprint for how humanity actually becomes a multiplanetary species.
But of course, whenever you open up a frontier with this much potential, this much value, it forces you to face some really big, really difficult questions about the kind of future we actually want to build. It's a classic double-edged sword. On one side, you have the dream, endless resources, cosmic abundance, a new golden age for humanity. But on the other side, you've got the gamble, the very real risk that this sparks new conflicts, creates environmental problems we can't even predict, and just becomes a massive land grab that only benefits a tiny few. And it all boils down to one huge unanswered question. Who owns the asteroids? The old space treaties from the 60s say that no country can plant a flag on the moon and call it theirs. But they're super vague about whether a private company can go up there, mine something, and claim ownership of the resources. We are, quite literally, making up the rules as we go. So let's end with this thought, because there's a kind of beautiful cosmic poetry to it. The very same types of objects, asteroids, that may have delivered water and the basic ingredients for life to a young Earth billions of years ago, could now provide the raw materials that allow that same life to expand out into the solar system. The only question is, are we ready for that kind of responsibility?